Alright, good afternoon everybody. I did promise you a video, a tutorial video, so today what we're going to be working on is Paw Patrol. That is one of the orders I was asked to do. And as you can see, I already have some letters done out here. And I don't know the characters very well, I'm not very familiar with them, but you know, most of our parents are going to be familiar with them. So as you can see here, we have a little firefighter Dalmatian dog. We have a police dog and a ranger. As I said, I do apologize, I don't know their names. And a little recycling dog. And let's see, what other characters do I have? I do have like a little fix-it dog. And there's one that I'm currently working on. This one I know is named Everest. I can't remember all of their names. There's a couple more that I have to do. But what we're going to be working on today is this letter right here. We're going to be working on painting Ryder. Ryder is the childhood boy that resides in this world. And he hangs out with his friends, his dog friends in Paw Patrol. So, as you can see here, we already have the Y painted, the background. And I also have a picture pulled up of Ryder himself so that you can kind of follow along. Now, as far as the background goes, what you want to do is you want to find something that's going to contrast with your subject or your foreground. So in this case, Ryder is going to be what's known as our foreground. And I decided on kind of a lighter blue. I was going to go with a darker blue, but I decided since his pants are a darker blue, I want something that's going to contrast well with that. You want something that's going to pop and not blend in with your background. So in this particular case, I decided to go with the light blue because he does have light blue trim here on his jacket. And I think that'll go really well with the subject matter. Now, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. I was attempting to make the video on YouTube, but it only allots me a specific amount of time, so I decided to do a live video on Facebook. Hopefully I'll be able to get better recording equipment. At the moment I'm using my phone, so if the quality of the video is a little poor, I do apologize for that. Oh, and hello to everyone who's watching. I see a couple people are watching. I'm going to be periodically looking at the video from time to time, just so that everything is in the frame. But I do hope to get some editing software in the future so that I can pre-record these videos and not have to make you deal with me live. So I already poured out my paint. So we're just going to kind of go over what it is that I'm using today for my colors, just in case anyone is interested. Alright, so obviously for his jacket, you know, we've got some white here, just a pure white, nothing fancy. And this particular white is Anita's all-purpose acrylic. It is one of my highly suggested and most favorite acrylic paints. You can get this at Hobby Lobby. I believe I paid $4.99 for it. Look at that. I like a bargain. And this goes a long way. I've had this for months now. And I really like the consistency. I'm very particular when it comes to painting on my consistency. I like something a little more runny, if you will, as opposed to something that's a little thicker, more based for oil and things like that. Just because I've noticed in my acrylic painting that if I use something that's a little thicker consistency, it tends to clump every now and again, so you have to be really careful with how many layers that you put on and make sure that you're painting it all the way out, that there's no clumps when it dries, or else it's going to dry like that, and that makes for a pretty terrible consistency as far as paint. Let's see, for the background that I'm using today, as well as the trim for his jacket, it's going to be a lake blue. This is Master's Touch Fine Art Studio, and I really do like this color in particular. It's a very nice blue color, and I got that at Blick. All my colors and paints are from various different people. and places and things. And then for the pants, we're only going to be doing some of the subject matter on his pants. We're not going to go all the way down because, as you can tell in this Y, we don't have a whole lot of room to work with, and I want to keep with the specific theme that I've had throughout the name itself. It is a darker blue. Don't actually know. Oh, it's a real navy. This is by Apple Barrel. My personal opinion, Apple Barrel isn't my favorite to use. As I said, I do like the little runnier consistency, but I, in my experience, tend to believe that Apple Barrel is a little too runny for me. If you guys are looking for paint suggestions, my personal suggestion would be Americana. And you can get this at Hobby Lobby. I pay about $1, maybe $2 for it for a 2 fluid ounce amount, and it goes a decently long way. And of course, as you can see, they have them in regular paints and the gloss. And the gloss is a nice finish, but Americana for me personally works best. It's the good in-between balance where it hasn't, has the amount of consistency that I want, but it's not too runny. Okay, let's see what colors. For his hair, we're going to be doing a raw umber. Again, that's Master's Touch Fine Art Studio. Got that from Blick. And then we've got, for the flesh tint, just this paint right here. System 3, I believe. And I purchased this from Hobby Lobby. And I think that's just about everything. Oh, we're probably also going to be using, we're going to be using a light brown for his eyes, and that's just a regular Simply acrylic. If you're doing something advanced and something that's going to be very time consuming and very, in-depth and thing, I wouldn't suggest Simply acrylic, but for something like this, that's just simple and easy, Simply acrylic is okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Now with my brush collection, where did it go? I like to keep a very small brush collection whenever I'm doing my pieces, especially with something particular like this, because there's a lot of finite detail. And my favorite brush that I've just recently purchased from Hobby Lobby is a Master's Touch. Imagine that. So it's the same brand as my acrylic paint. Master's Touch Script and Liner, and this is going to be for my fine lines and details. You see, it's got a very pointed edge, and the bristles are a little long for me, so it takes some time for me to get used to it. And this is a size 3. And where is my, there it is. This is my other favorite brush. This is just a regular flat. It's what is the width of this? Is that 8? I believe it's 8 centimeters. I've used them so much I can't even really tell. But this is a wide width, and this is going to be, these are both of my wide width brushes, and this is going to be for when we fill things in. So we're going to start with an outline here. I'm going to set my paint off to the side. I'm going to get some raw umber here. And really, when you've got paint that's a thicker consistency, you don't want to get too much on your brush. We're going to go in here, and I want to make sure that you guys can see this. Yeah, you can see it, sort of. There we go. It's a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to go in here and just kind of draw his hairline. And one thing I've noticed with cartoons and things like that is you can kind of be exaggerated, and no one's really going to know the difference. And to be quite honest, with cartoon characters. Excuse me. I think it's best to be a little exaggerated because it kind of brings out those small details and really brings out the essence of the character itself, if you will. So we're going to kind of exaggerate these, and all I'm doing is just kind of making like little peaks in his hair. Nothing that nobody else can do. Kind of imagine whenever I'm drawing hair for characters, like it's like creating little mountains. And I can't stress this enough with people. A little bit when it comes to paint goes a long way, so you don't have to get entirely crazy with it. And honestly, the way it's looking right now, we might not even be able to draw his hands on here. He's got a pretty big head. That's okay. And then we're going to kind of separate. We're just going to create kind of the shape of his face, if you will. And this is just a rough, very rough line work. That's kind of what I do when I start creating a piece, is I just kind of do a rough guesstimate of the line work. And the beauty about painting is, you know, if it's not what you want later on, you know, just paint over it. People get so caught up on messing up that they forget that they can literally just paint over it. I had that issue for the longest time. It took me a long time to realize, oh, I messed up, well, I can just paint over it. I would get so caught up on, oh, I didn't do this right, I didn't do that right. Well, and while it's not a bad thing to get caught up on the fine details, you want to remember your abilities. Okay, so now we're going to fill that in with the raw umber, and we're going to be using, I believe it's 1 centimeter wide. It's been rubbed off, but this is my smaller wide brush. I tend to use this for smaller areas. Now, as I was saying with the consistency, and this is why I'm not particular on the consistency being thick, is you really want to make sure that you take a little bit and you just go as far as you can with it. Because if not, if you don't try to like get it all out on the canvas, it's going to clump. It's kind of like when you don't get all the air bubbles out of something, except it's paint clumps. It's essentially the same thing. So you want to make sure you're spreading that paint evenly as you possibly can, because clumps will definitely show up in your work and it kind of makes it look tacky, and I had to learn that the hard way. So I try to stay away from thicker paints. Now eventually, at some point, when I get editing software and better recording equipment, I will be doing these tutorial videos on Patreon. That way I don't wear down my Facebook page with nothing but tutorial videos. That's going to be more for showing you orders that I've completed and letting you know upcoming events. Alright, now we're going to take our flesh tint, because we're going to fill in his face. And we're just going to make like a little round shape here. He's got a very round face. And I can't stress this enough, proportions are huge. A huge thing, especially when it comes to faces and things of that sort. We're going to go back in here with our 1 centimeter brush. And fill this in. Now it doesn't look like anything right now, you know, it probably doesn't even look accurate at this point. And the more I'm looking at it, his hair is more pointed up, but you know, that's okay, we can fix it. Hi, Kiss Kiss. Hi, baby. Do apologize for my cats in the background. That's another thing I would like to get at some point is my own studio so that I can record and create there. My goal with Patreon is when I get enough subscribers to have people, you know, come into an actual studio and record do-it-yourself videos with me. That way they get to see, you know, how I do my work firsthand and really get to experience a do-it-yourself tutorial video. I'm sorry, a do-it-yourself video in a whole new light. You know, get to experience it on a whole new level. My personal opinion, do-it-yourself videos and tutorial videos are very different. Not everybody feels that way. Stop it! Stop. That's another reason I don't want to record in here, but I gotta start somewhere, right? All I'm doing right now is just filling in the face, and we're going to go back in this with a second coat, because as you can see, the blue is showing through. But while we let that dry, we'll work on other stuff. Oops. I see, no biggie, I just messed up. You will see me mess up a lot, because that is the thing with painting, is especially when I'm trying to record it. I'm going to fix that really quick. I can only really paint it once. I mean, I could go back and try to paint it again, but I'm not gonna waste paint and waste my time and things like that. We're gonna go back up here and kind of make this more pointed. So again, we're just exaggerating the hairline that I've already created. We're really going to exaggerate this and make it a little more pointed up. I'm a very go back and forth kind of person. I'll work on one thing and then work on the other. That looks a little bit better. Like I said, you can see, you know, gotta brush out all of those clumps. I know it's a pain. If you want a good consistency in your artwork, I'll make sure that you do that. Oh, you might not be able to see from here, actually. There we go. Okay. Hopefully, let's see if we can zoom in here. Oh, no, we can't zoom in. Darn. That's okay. Okay. Alright, now as that dries... Oh, that's not... Whoops. That's not a hair. It has a crack in his screen. Alright. We're going to add a little bit of a neckline. Not something too drastic. Just something simple. And what I like to do when creating something, like we're about to do his jacket, I don't start with the fine details. I start with a base. That way you get a general idea of how you want to create what it is you're trying to create. So for like his jacket, for instance, all we're going to do is kind of make a little bit of a collar, and he's got a, I know it might be hard to tell from this angle, but he's got a white t-shirt underneath. So we're going to keep that in mind, and we're just going to create sleeves. And the beauty with painting cartoon characters is you don't have to have things like wrinkles and stuff like that, or if you're going to create wrinkles or natural wrinkles in the clothing line, it's very easy to manipulate, very easy to do. And we're gonna have him pointing, maybe. I don't know. We might change it. And even though all of this is going to be red down here, I'm still going to create a shirt. So we want to get a general idea of how is this going to look? How am I about to create this? And honestly, white is the best way to go, because white is the easiest thing that you can paint over and not have anything show up afterwards. Oh, I messed up a little bit there. I don't like that. I'm not liking how harsh some of my lines are. That's okay. We can fix it. We'll go back and fix that in a minute. I'm not too worried about it. I have been thinking about possibly putting music in the background, but I feel like that's distracting to me, especially if it's music that I like. Okay. Alright, and now we're just going to go back with the 1 centimeter brush and fill that in with white. And I have to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Okay, we're just going to fill this in with white. Now, I'm not too worried about having to go in and do multiple coats of this because of the underlining blue that you can see, just because most of it's going to be different colors. Now, of course, you want to go in where there's the sleeves and the top part of the jacket, you know, you want to go in with that, you know, go on a second coat with that, but the rest of it, I'm not entirely worried about. Alright, we're going to go back in and fix what's going on over here. It's looking weird. You take that lake blue and just paint over the messed up area. That still looks weird. I don't like it. I don't know why, but I don't like it. That is the beauty of painting. You don't like it, you change it. Nobody's going to say anything to you. And if they do, ask them if their art is better. That's what I always do. People, if they critique me. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm back. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, people critiquing you and your art. Hal critiques me all the time. And I know he's doing it just to be helpful, but sometimes it's really frustrating and irritating because I'm like, oh, okay, so clearly your art is better. And it's not, because the boy can't even draw a circle. I felt so bad. I tried to ask him to just paint the backgrounds, just the backgrounds. This is one solid color. You can't, and I'm thinking to myself, you can't mess this up. I was wrong. I did not think that it was possible for a single human being to mess up painting a background, but it is possible. My boyfriend did it. I don't entirely know how either. I don't know. Okay. Alright, we're going to take our 1-inch brush again, and we're going to refill in that face. So we're going to work on those details here in just a moment. I'm going to have to make this quick because I've got to get him up in about half an hour. So not that I'm rushing it, but you know, we're just going to kind of move along. So if I quit talking for a second while I'm painting, I do apologize. Sometimes I just get in this mode and I forget that I'm doing a tutorial video. Normally I'm not used to having to, you know, talk to people while I paint. I practice it every once in a while though. When I'm painting to myself, I'll pretend like there's an audience and I'm teaching them to paint. It's so relaxing for me, so soothing. I love to paint. And I wish everyone could be able to paint, because I know that there are people out there who can't. But part of me wishes that they could, so that they could experience what I experience. We're going to fill in the neck here too. We're going to have to go over that with a second coat. Alright. Let that dry. Paint on my face? No. Okay. I thought I got paint on my face. Alright. Okay, again we're going to take that same brush, and now we're going to fill in the white part of the jacket. And we're just going to do the sleeves in this top half and make it, you know, a pure white so that it really pops and really stands out. And all I'm doing is filling, that's all I'm doing, that's all painting is doing, is filling things in. When you get to the details, that's when things start getting fun. But for now, all I'm doing is just filling stuff in, creating outlines and filling it in. And the beauty with iconic characters like this is it might not look exactly like him, but as long as it looks remotely like him, people are gonna know what it is you're painting. People are going to see what it is you're trying to create. So I personally get hung up on details. I do. And I don't want to say that's a bad thing to get hung up on details. Really? You have to do that right now? Sorry, my cats. This is why I need a recording studio. My apologies, my cat feels the need to go to the bathroom right now during the middle of my video. I don't even remember what I was saying. Okay, so we're going to go in here and put the pants in. And all I'm doing is going right below the shirt and just going down. Like I'm just painting, I'm filling in the blank space. Sorry. I thought of Taylor Swift's Blank Space. Taylor Swift, she's interesting. We'll put it that way. I don't know how I feel about the latest information on her, which apparently is that she feels the need to charge everyone merchandise fees in order to get a chance at a ticket to one of her shows. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, it's good. I guess it's good marketing strategy, but I don't know. Is that really fair to your viewers? What the hell? And your fans? Oh, I bet you he has this on. He does. He has it on rotate. Screw that. Okay. we're going to go in one more time and fill in with this flesh tint. I have to turn some things because it helps. Trust me, it helps. Oh, I missed a little bit of, I see that right there. Sometimes you have to get super up close and personal with your paintings, or else you miss the fine details. I tend to be a very detail-oriented person, specifically in my painting. Because I think it's, in my personal opinion, it's the details that stand out. And it's funny because no one else sees the details, but you see the details. They see how the details change the picture, and people see how the details can enhance the overall picture, but no one, unless they are an artist themselves, really sees and notices and appreciates the fine details. And that's the cool part about doing tutorial videos like this, is you get to see how I create it, how it all comes together, and how the fine details really do matter and make the biggest of differences. I think it's raining outside. I like the rain. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and do the bottom half of his jacket. So the bottom half is going to be this red, this true red, and I'm just going to kind of go where the white gets lighter, where I stopped painting several coats. And we're just going to fill in his jacket. Again, all it is at this point is just filling in. Just filling in. Hopefully when I get new editing software, when I get new recording equipment, we can do like a more up close look at what I'm doing. That way you can see those fine details come together and just really create the piece itself. Alright, we've got that going now. While we let that dry, we're going to fill in the navy for the pants. A lot of times this stuff takes several coats to do, so while one coat is drying for a different color, I go ahead and put a second coat in for another color. Alright, and now we're starting to see something, you know? That's the hardest part about being an artist, especially if you have a really, really big project, is it's hard to see how it all comes together until the very end. And especially if you're doing big pieces, because this is not at all a big piece. You really have to be patient with yourself and not be too hard on yourself. I say that, but I'm my worst critic. It's like you have a vision in your mind, and as long as you remember that you have a vision in your mind, you'll get there. It's just a matter of time and work. You know, obviously if you start a piece and, you know, don't work on it for a few months, you know, you're not going to see any progress, you're not going to see any work, you're not going to see the masterpiece unfold. But if you do a little bit, you know, every day, every other day, even just every week, you'll start to see those details work themselves out, and you'll start to see the entire masterpiece come together. That's the beauty of art. You put so much work into it, and when it's finally finished, you get to kind of sit back and take a look at what you've done. And here's another detail that, you know, his hairline isn't exactly straight and exactly perfect. That helps give his character a little bit of depth. Alright, now for the fun part. We're going to do some facial. We're going to do some face detail work. So, I forgot that I'm going to need some black, so as I showed you before, I'm just going to use this Americana. You can purchase that at pretty much any art store, whether it be Blick, Hobby Lobby, any arts and crafts store is going to have it. I don't suggest going to Walmart because you're going to find nothing but simply acrylic. If you want, you know, decent paint, you're going to have to go to a craft store for it. And you really don't pay all that much more. You get less paint, but it's a higher quality. Alright, we're just going to give him, whoops, okay, that's a heavy brush. We're going to give him eyebrows. And I'm coming from the side here because I painted down on the bottom and I don't want to get my hand in it because left-handed people understand the struggle. The struggle is real. Hi, baby. Alright, and then we're going to put his eyes underneath here. I'm sorry if I'm in the way right now, but I have to see what I'm doing. And the shape of eyes is really, really important. People, I think, tend to forget that. Shapes of the eyes are very important. And there's many, many shapes that you can do. But when it comes to creating cartoon characters and things like this, you really want to stay true to the original detail, because the eyes are what's going to bring it all together. The eyes are the window to someone's soul, so to speak. And it's honestly what kind of brings a piece together. So when you're painting or drawing or whatever, especially if it's going to be something iconic, really stay true to what the original artist had in mind for the eyes, because